So, do you know the difference between this and that? You might say, well, Dragon, this one seems like it would cost more. You have to pay for the paper, you have to pay for the ink to print it out, you have to pay for these plastic holders, you have to pay for somebody in a warehouse to check the disc, make sure the machine puts them into this tray, shrink wrap them up, put them on some, wooden pallet, ship them off to some warehouses. Then they get shipped again over to retail stores where somebody has to be paid to put them up on the store shelves. So you would think this would cost a lot more. Yet, the PlayStation 4 version of this game, digitally, costs $40. If you go to the Xbox store, the digital version of this game costs $40. If you go to Amazon, the digital version of this game costs $40. Yet, if you decide to get this version, this costs $18 from Amazon. You just click a button, you go between digital, you pay $40 to get a code, or you can get something shipped to you and it costs literally half the price. So why is that? Some people say that Xbox had the right idea to begin with. They say if we would have went down towards the digital future where Microsoft wanted to go, they wanted to make everything digital, they would say that you would have better prices on digital. Yet, because we have competition, because you have a choice between this and that drives the price up of that. That doesn't work in any other factor that I can think of as far as the economy goes when competition is involved. Usually competition brings the prices down. So why do people feel that if we went all digital, digital would somewhat be cheaper? Because I'm not buying it. Oh, and if you're one of those who believes the myth that Steam is always cheaper and better for digital, well, think again. Because Unity is still $60 on Steam. And it's not just this one game. I looked up Watch Dogs, I looked up a few different games. And almost every time it was the same story. Literally, almost half the price for physical versus digital. So why is this? Ubisoft put out some numbers during their earnings call today. And their sales were down compared to this time last year. Because this time last year, they released Watch Dogs. And this year, they didn't have a major release during this period. Yet, they still exceeded sales expectations. And they did that thanks to digital. Digital sales went from 23% this time last year to 56%. And with more people jumping to digital, willing to pay a premium price, not having to worry about trade-ins or pre-owned games, and not having to pay middlemen, what incentive is there for Ubisoft or other publishers to bring digital prices down? Ubisoft CEO was asked why digital remains so much higher, and his explanation went something along the lines of things we've talked about before. I told you, these companies do not want to undercut the brick and mortar stores like Best Buy and Walmart, GameStop, and a lot of times when these businesses or even Amazon, whenever you see sales on games, a lot of times it's those actual companies that are putting on the sales. And they'd end up losing business if digital were to undercut them and they started lowering the price of digital. And also, stores have to get rid of inventory. It costs a lot of money for these businesses to keep products on their shelf. They need to move products out in order to make room for new products. So Ubisoft said themselves, and you'll hear other publishers say it, that stores take priority. Physical takes priority as far as what they want to move. They have unlimited digital space. It's not like these digital copies are sitting in a warehouse somewhere. So they have to move the physical copies. And while a digital future is certainly convenient, I've got some games that I wish they'd let me upgrade to digital. What I'm saying is I have some physical games that I wish they'd let me upgrade to digital because I don't plan on getting rid of them anytime soon, and it would be nice to be able to jump back and forth between those games without getting up. But the flip side's also true. I have some digital versions of games that I wish I had the physical copy, because I never plan on playing them again. And of course, with sales always going on, like this week, Xbox has a major sale happening where you got 50 to 75% off on a lot of games. I mean, it's not always a one-size-fits-all. There are times where digital is a better deal, but there's also a lot of times where physical is a better deal. And not only do many games cost less to actually purchase, they're worth more. Think about that. It's the same game, it's the same storyline, it's the same graphics, yet your physical copy, which costs less to purchase, is valued more because you can take that in and trade it in at a store, or I can take it and sell it to you and get some money back. And it's yours. It's on a disc. They can't take it from you. And they can't remove it from the store like they recently did with PT on PlayStation. They can't shut off the servers on the system and then you don't have a game anymore. You could still take this game if it's on a disc and with your console go play it offline if it's an offline game. And as I mentioned before, it's a myth that Steam is always the greatest when it comes to digital prices. It's true that PC digital prices are normally times better than consoles, and that's because it's an open system. You have a lot of other companies besides Steam who go out and buy these digital codes in bulk and then turn around and sell them. If you buy things in bulk, then you can sell them for cheaper. So you have healthy competition on the PC. And the reason I'm not convinced that an all-digital future would be good for consumers on consoles is because it's a closed system. It's less competition. And yes, maybe it would be cheaper. Maybe it would be cheaper if Microsoft would have went all digital. But at this point, it's only a theory. You've got really nothing to back that theory up. And the same could hold true that the prices could remain right where they're at, so that you're paying a lot more in the end than what you would for a physical copy. So, me personally, I'd rather take my chances and have both. I'd rather have a choice. And so I'm glad that physical's here. That's not to say you won't ever be able to trade in or sell the digital copies of your games on Xbox or PS4. You know, some countries are actually creating laws that are forcing companies to be able to offer a digital resale or trade-in. And I had a story on VGN just this week about GameStop still talking about a plan to do just that. They're trying to get into the market with Microsoft and Sony so that they can allow digital resales. So I think digital will evolve, and hopefully it's going to get better. Because I know a lot of publishers and devs want to go digital. I mean, it definitely makes sense for them. They get more money. They're not having to pay out all these extra costs to do shipping and all this. And they're also not losing money by having you buy a game pre-owned that they get nothing for. And Microsoft, you know, has stated that they're still looking at the family share plan and everything. So I think that's something they could roll out still in the future. But for right now, it's a good thing we have physical as a backup. And unless it's a huge game that I know I'm going to love and want to keep forever, then, you know, 8 or 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go physical. And that means more money in my pocket to buy more games with. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all deal. You have to evaluate each game on its own. But I did want to give you a different perspective on things and hopefully give you an explanation for why the two differ so much. So post below, do you think less competition would drive prices down on digital, as some believe? Or do you agree with me that competition is best and that it's a good thing that we have a choice between physical and digital? That does it for me, The Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.